So this is our second video in analyzing different ideal gas laws. And in the first video, we looked at Boyle's law. And in this video, we're looking at Charles' law. Now, if you can recall, what we have examined was this is just an analysis of three quantities: pressure, volume, and temperature. And in this case, we don't see pressure in our formula. So what that means is that pressure will remain constant. And if pressure is constant, then the term that you will come across for this is isobaric process. And what that means, it's going to be very similar to our previous explanation, where if you come across this iso, it means that it's constant, and bar, if you think of it as a unit or measurement, then we're talking about pressure. So it's constant pressure. So that's isobaric process, and it's a process whereby in this case pressure remains constant. So for Charles's law, we know then that for a given mass of gas at constant pressure, the volume, so V for volume, it's directly proportional to temperature. And what that means, of course, is if our volume increases, then temperature will increase. If temperature increases, volume will also increase. So let's say we have some gas that occupies, let's use V1, and the initial temperature then, let's take that to be 20 degrees Celsius. So 20 degrees Celsius plus 273 for our Kelvin. And we are going to now say that that temperature, it moved from that 293 Kelvin to a temperature of, let's say, 130 degrees Celsius. That's what we have there. Now, you can think of this process similar to how you would think of an hot air balloon. If we increase the temperature, you will see where the balloon, it expands. And if we decrease, then it should contract. Think of it as your tire as well, your car tire, whereby in the summer, it's possible for your tire to be super inflated and contract in the winter. And that's as a result of hot and cold air or gases. So for our calculation, for what we have here, we just need to substitute these values in. So for our V1, that's 1.2, and divided by our T1, which is 293, and that should be equal to our unknown V2 divided by the known value that we have here for T2, which is going to be 403. So what that leaves us with then is V2. So V2 will be equal to, so we can choose to just work out what's on the left and then just multiply. Or if you want, we can just simply do 1.2 times by 403 and all divided by 293. And that gives us our V2 of 1.65 liters. Now, it's as expected. So if you notice that both volume and temperature, they increase together. So that was the expectation, and it's proportional as well. So that's a good example to start with. Now let's look at another example, and this time around I'm going to look at the variables that students tend to make a lot of mistakes with, which is when we're finding either T1 or T2. So let's look at one of those cases. So say we have a gas at some initial temperature of 150 degrees Celsius. So that's 150 plus 273. I'm just doing this way to emphasize that's how we convert. And remember, it's 273.15, but I'm just rounding it to the nearest whole number. So that's our initial temperature of our gas. So let's say then that we don't know the initial volume nor the final volume, but we know that our volume, it changed, it reduced by 2/3. So then V2 would be 2/3 of our initial volume, which was V1. And with that information, we now need to work out what T2 is How would we do that? Now, it's exactly the same process. We're just going to do our substitution, but this will take a little bit more competence in terms of solving equation. So let's substitute our values then. So we would have our V1 as V1, which is just unknown. And what we have here is for 423, and that's representing our initial temperature. And then our V2 will be 2/3, so 0.67, 2/3 of V1, and all divided by our T2. Now, this is the bit that will just simplify everything, because as much as this looks complicated, but if we divide both sides now by V1, so let's say we divide both sides by V1, which is the same as multiplying by 1 over V1, then right away what you find is that we just cancel V1 from both sides. And that leaves us with 1 over 423 there, and 2/3 over T2. So we can now go ahead and work out what T2 is, because that's the only unknown. This is just a little tricky one. And T2 would be equal to, so if we do a bit of, let's say, cross multiplying, so T2 would be equal to our 423, which would be multiplied by our 2/3, which leaves us with 282, that's Kelvin. Now, this one was slightly more trickier, but it's the same process. So the last thing I'd like to do here for this one is just to show the general formula if we're finding those variables in the denominator, because that tends to be the toughest part for most people. So let's say we want to find T2, then to find T2, it's just going to be T1 multiplied by V2 and all divided by our V1. So that's a general formula there that you can use, and it's just rearranging what we have here. Let's say it was T1 that we want to find, then it's similar. T1 would just be now T2 multiplied by V1 and all divided by V2. So you can just use those and plug and play as you will. Now we're going to look at another gas law in the next video, Gay-Lussac's law. And if you'd like to learn more about that, then please just check this next video out in the top right corner, and I'll see you there.